Alright, we have our knife all wrapped, and I've trimmed off the extra, and there's 3 layers of duct tape on there. I've got most of the bumps out. I did leave a couple bumps in here, right in that area, so we could see what would happen if the mold would pick that up. I've also raised the temperature in my griddle to 300 degrees, which is pretty warm for kydex. Again, we want to be in the 280 to 300 range, and wearing these cloth brown jersey gloves helps. Now we're getting fairly close. You can see that it almost gets the consistency of lint pasta. We're fairly close there. I'm still on the shiny side. Flip it over, get some heat into the textured side, but don't want that already glossed over just that quick. Now we're at the top edge of the working temperature that we really want to be with this material, but for the sake of the video, we're going to try and move this along a little bit. You can see how flexible this material really gets. It's amazing. Now if I could let that cool off just like that, it would retain that temperature. It's hot. And then I could reheat it with an oven, gun, whatever, and it would go back flat. That's the beauty of this material. It'll reheat fairly well. You can, if you mess up one sheath when you're doing the fold or when you're doing the squeeze on it, you can go ahead and reheat it and try again. Now it'll take, I'm not sure how many cycles it will take that way. Eventually it takes a set. You'll see wrinkles. You'll see some wear and tear in the material. But it's a forgiving material, a lot more so than leather, for example. If you make a mistake there, you got to start over. But with this material, you get another chance. So you can see how flexible that is. That's just about where we want to be for working temperature. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to take that material, and this is the textured side, so I would go just like this, and we'll reheat it, but I'll give you an idea. I'll lay that in there like a sandwich, spine as close as I can up there. It's hot. And I'm actually going to squeeze it just like that. I'll put that in the press and squeeze it like that. I'm going to give it just a little bit more heat because I want some heat showing you that. And then we'll hold that in there in the press until it cures, till it sets. It takes a set, and it's got to drop about half the temperature in this molding foam, which is neoprene. Takes the heat out at a kind of a slow rate, as you can imagine, being closed foam. So we'll get started in just a minute. I want to make this so you can see it on the video. Got this pretty much at temperature again. It's nice and flexible. Let's go ahead and give it a press. Just going to lay that in. I'm going to take most of the handle. Again, we're going to trim a lot of this off later on, but I want that in there nice and tight that way. So we've got kind of a sandwich, and that's all excess. It's more than we needed, but again, that's what it takes. So I'll get that laid in there just as tight as I can. Now bring that down. I'm going to If I was smart, I'd spend a little bit more time looking for my wood clamp, and I wouldn't have to hold this way, but here we are. So that's in there now. It'll take a minute or two to cool off. Wouldn't surprise me if we might have to do another press at all. Just once in a while you get it right on the first one, especially if you're doing a batch of them. Once in a while it takes a couple times. So there's that. It's going to sit there for a minute, cool off, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, we're back. Let's see, it's been a minute or two. Should be cool enough to see. It really takes a lot of leverage to get that squeezed down. And here's what we have, still quite warm. But you can see the outlet, the outline of the knife right there. We had a pretty good set, and you can see how that's still fairly pliable, not fairly pliable, but somewhat pliable. Quite warm still. Now, this could damage a knife, you keep heating it and so on, but it shouldn't be a problem here. We will come back and cut this excess material away and make sure the knife will slide in and out. We'll leave enough room for eyelets around there and for our belt loop that we'll put on in just a little bit. Still, now it's starting to stiffen up. You can see it is quite warm to the touch still. We'll just turn those right there. We'll put it back in just for a minute. Draw some more heat out of there. So, it's set up for what we have here. These are 1/4 eyelets. We get these from Siska. They're black oxide plated. We also have them in nickel and brass. These are brass base and black oxide, and these by far are most popular. We also have 3/16. Now, these dies we have custom made. These eyelet dies, we get these custom made for us by our machinist at Precision Plus with Travis up there in the UP. So he makes those exclusive for us. And now we have our knife sheath, and you can see that it doesn't take long. Well, it's in there quite a bit. We'll loosen that fit, but you can see how hard that is. It is toughened up. Now if I wanted to, if this press didn't come out any good, and this press came out just fine, I could simply throw that back on the griddle, or use a heat gun and open it back up and start all over. But we got a pretty good press out of this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the outline, we're going to trim off the extra. Now I'm going to cut inside of this line, so just give me a reference to cut. You can see the outline of the knife there, so I'm just giving myself plenty of room to cut there. Now, as far as this handle, we'll want to leave the handle out. If we left that all the way covered up, you could never get the knife out, because there would only be that much of the handle sticking out, and what good would that do? So we'll come back and cut that, probably something like that. And let's go cut it on the bandsaw. It takes just a few seconds. Starting to look like a knife sheath. This process all goes a lot faster when you're not fooling around with cameras and microphones. But you can see that it's starting to come along. And our belt loop is going to be fastened on going to be like that. This will be a right hand carry, so we'll mount it right at the edge. Open that up. We'll mount that right at the edge, right there. And these two, now these come with just a series of holes, 9 holes in this case, so you can have different mounting options, and generally you just use 2 of these. So we'll make a mark just about where we want to carry that on our hip, somewhere right around there, and that's where we're going to drill to locate those 2 holes. And again, on the we will, I'm looking at the knife outline there. I'm going to, I want to put another one right there. This is all by eyeball. It's not rocket science. And I'm going to take into account the aesthetics of the sheath. So we'll have 3 more eyelets right there. We'll trim all that off in the grinder, and then we're going to drill a hole right there for water release right at the tip. So in case any water gets trapped in there, it'll drip out. And we'll just try and drill that on the back side. Sometimes it grabs and takes it up, but so we'll drill some 1/4 inch holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 1/4 inch holes right there in the drill press, and then we'll be right back and see about getting this mounted, eyelets in place. Take that off because it won't fit in there with that. So got lucky and it didn't stick, not a lot of cleanup. So we'll be back in a minute and we'll get this drilled.